Good night, everyone. My name is Thea Star, aka Empress T of Empress Royále Publishing, where everything tells a story. And tonight is our very first episode of Royalty. Ooh, I'm so nervous. Please excuse me. Of the Royalty Circle Talk. So we're just gonna wait for those who are joining in. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week so far. Yes, hi. Okay, so I see Giselle is here, ready to go. We're gonna just jump right into it. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm really good. Just raising up my volume.
Yeah.
You're sounding a little bit soft.
I am trying to turn up the volume. Let me see.
Okay.
I don't even know.
I have some music playing in the background, so I'm just going to lower it down.
Okay. I'm trying to see. Where the volume at? I'm so nervous, guys. Please excuse me. I don't even know where the volume. Oh. Hello, are you hearing me now?
Yes, I am.
Woo, I'm here by
I'm going to make sure you're loud and clear. I'm going to lower my music some more.
Okay. Hi, I'm seeing some people joining us. I'm really excited and nervous at the same time. Are we going to start soon? So how are you doing? Are you excited?
I am. I really am excited. I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, and I said to her, this year I'm determined to beat winter. You know, last year it had me folding and crippling. I was like, no, I can't bow to winter like that because, you know, I prefer summer. So I said to her, no, this year I'm going to beat winter. Okay. So when it snows, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to jump in the snow too. I'm going to forget that it's winter time. And, you know, because I feel like I had to conquer it, you know.
You're not a fan of winter?
I know.
Oh, I love winter. It's my favorite season. I'm a Januarian and I'm very proud. So I'm a winter baby. I love it. I love it. Even though where I was born doesn't have winter, but still. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're super excited for all those joining us tonight, and we're just gonna get right into it with some icebreakers, okay? So, Giselle, can you tell us what is your go-to karaoke song?
You know what? Go-to karaoke song. Oh my gosh. There are a number of songs that I love. I would say there's a song from Sanash. I think it's Jesus Did It Again or You Did It Again. Mm-hmm. That'll be one song I don't mind singing on karaoke. That, and then there's song Eben, Victory. Mm-hmm. I don't mind doing that on karaoke as well. I think it'll be fun because the songs are so much of hype. So I think it's going to be fun to just be like, you know, on the mic, on the stage with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, my go-to karaoke song, it's literally my favorite song. Anytime somebody asks me what's my favorite song, I have other favorite songs. But this is the song, whether good, bad, ugly, something is happening. It's Doxology by Helen Baylor. That is my jam song. And then there's also a Spanish version, because I love Spanish music, with Abraham Laboriel. He's the guitarist for that song. And they do like an instrumental. So I love that. That's my go-to anything song. That's my song.
I didn't know there was a Spanish version. So I mean, that's good.
And they even have a version, I think it's Japanese or Korean, and they have a band playing it as an instrumental too. I was like, I didn't even know you could make the song better, but it's like amazing. I listen to it all the time. Okay.
Yeah, I think that versatility is nice.
So, can you tell us what is your favorite emoji? Because I know
what?
Anybody who does not know Giselle, she is an emoji queen. She would talk to you in all emojis. So, do you have a favorite?
emojis and stickers. I love them. So I love WhatsApp the best because I find the emoticons look best in WhatsApp. It is the dancing girl with the red dress.
Me too.
That's my favorite. So whether good, bad, indifferent, if I'm chatting with you on WhatsApp, you're going to eventually see that girl with the dress, the red dress.
That's mine too, because I love to dance. So, and then also I would low key the blank stare. You know, sometimes you don't know what to say, or just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I love whoever created emojis. Thank you. It's amazing.
Yeah, especially WhatsApp. I mean, it's really good. I love those.
Okay. So if you can go anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
That's a good question, you know. There's not really a world traveler in me. I've learned to become a world traveler. So I would definitely say somewhere in Europe, as well as I don't mind going to Greece. I think Greece is going to be nice. Athens, I think yeah. I think if somebody were to ask me, I'll go there.
Okay, well, I'm Italian, so it's definitely going to be Italy. I'm not even going to pretend. And for those of you who don't know me, I wasn't actually born there, but there's a long history behind why I say I'm Italian. I love Italy. I love the culture. It's all up in my books, the Italian culture. So,
no, I could tell because when I read one of your books, Becoming a Royal Princess, I was like, oh, Luca. And I was like, what? And the names, I was like, what is this? I was like, why wasn't it, you know? I don't understand some of these names. And I realized it's like I had a touch of Italy. And I was like, okay.
Love it.
All right.
If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It'd be some type of meat. 100%. 100% some type of meat. I'm a meat mouth. I mean, you know, no shade to fish and shrimp and stuff like that, but I'm a meat mouth. So definitely, and not chicken. Chicken would be too basic. Maybe some, I don't know, beef ribs, pork ribs, something like that. Some kind of beef steak, something.
Wow. So
yeah.
Got a partiality to chicken? Like, what's wrong with chicken?
You know, everybody eats chicken, and most people, you know, eat chicken. Everybody's chicken at home, but you know, when persons go out maybe to dinner, they not really gonna choose chicken. At least those who like the range of meats, you know, they wouldn't choose chicken. They'll probably choose something else. But those who only like chicken, no problem, they know they will choose that. But I'm gonna choose maybe the ribs or the steak or something.
All right. So I'm very basic. Everybody who knows me knows that this is my go-to food, and it is bread and cheese.
You know, I can't eat bread and cheese. I don't like cheese like that with bread. It has to be mixed into a dish. No. Maybe, you know, macaroni pie, something like that, but not just bread and cheese.
Bread and cheese, but people understand, like, bread, there's many different types of bread and cheese. So if I had to do, obviously, the basic sandwich, bread and cheese with some mayonnaise, but I love pizza. As a Italian, the basic of that's a type of bread and cheese. Yes, the tomato sauce is there, but I actually put Alfredo sauce better. I like Alfredo sauce better. I'm not a fan of tomatoes.
That's good too.
Because I don't like tomatoes. So, but bread and cheese in any form that they can bake it. They could. I love bread and cheese. Grill. Oh, Jesus, Lord knows. Grilled cheese.
I've tried it.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to play this or that. So I'm going to say 2 different types of food or drink, and you're going to tell me which one you prefer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. All right. Macaroni salad or potato salad?
That. So do I say that or do I say the name?
You have to say the name.
What do I say? Like, do I say this or that? Or?
No, which one do you prefer? Macaroni salad?
Oh, potato salad, hands down.
Ooh, that one is really tough because I love them both. I love potatoes and I love macaroni. You know, macaroni is obviously pasta, Italy. Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying that. Like, yeah, but I love potatoes because potato is one of the most versatile foods that they have out there. So I don't think there's nothing you can't do with potatoes. So it's both for me. But if I had to choose, As much as I don't know, that would be hard. I'll probably choose the macaroni. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, sweet or salty?
Salty. Not a sweet tooth. Not a huge fan of desserts. It has to be where I feel for that. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. I just, Jesus. But if it
We
could
have an
be,
opposite thing going on here.
if it could be sweet though, with because I love tangy. So if tangy was there, I
Oh,
prefer tangy drinks and stuff. So the sweet is like, let me just add a little lemon. It's fine. But I love salt. Not a fan. I'm not. Sandals or sneakers?
my gosh. I'm going to say sandals for myself and I'm going to say sneakers for my husband. The reason why is that is because of him. I started wearing sneakers more. Prior to meeting him, it was just sandals and heels.
Okay.
I would just wear that only. I didn't even own a pair of sneakers.
Wow.
You know, when my husband came into my life, he was like, because he loves sneakers, he was like, you need some sneakers. And so he started to buy me different pairs of sneakers. So, you know, I think I was going to have to be balanced with that one, say half and half.
Both.
Because now I went from zero to having like a, you know, a good few pair of sneakers. So,
I would say sandals / barefoot. I don't. There's something about I like openness. I like my toes to be free, having fun. Obviously, in the winter that doesn't apply because I love boots. But between sandals and sneakers, I'll choose sandals hands down, especially those gladiator. Ooh, you tie it up on you know, calves and stuff. It looks so cute. Love it. Okay. Book, because we're authors. Book or Kindle?
book all the way. Book all the way. I'm not a fan of reading on screens. If I have to, no problem. But if I had a choice, you know, physical book.
Oh, I definitely would say book. Kindle is it's convenient when you're traveling, but I like the feel of paperback any day. Well, hardcover I get it, but paperback is cruise or staycation?
I'll say cruise.
Okay.
Although I can stake it very easily, but I'll say cruise. I have that potential, but I know I'll say cruise because I need to, you know, explore, go out there.
Cruise, hands down. And if I could do a PSA, cruise line, Carnival Cruise Line. They didn't pay me to say this, but Carnival Cruise Line, hands down. Technically, it's the only cruise line that I've used, but I'm very biased to it. The others are cool, but Carnival, I mean, they have me. Okay.
I've heard that Royal Caribbean is good, though. My parents went on a cruise some years ago, so I heard that Royal Caribbean is good, too.
I heard about it. A lot of people say that, but a little biased to Carnival. Like, I would probably maybe try it, but the fun ship, man, Carnival, I don't know. This one is really intense because but summer or winter?
Summer. Summer, you know.
Winter for me, as I said.
Winter, I have a love-hate relationship going on, so.
I love winter. It's just something about the cold. Also, to me, winter as a writer, it brings the best atmosphere and environment for storytelling. Because you know
Really?
like they always have.
Because you're inside more?
No, there's a romance about, even if it's cold, you get to bundle up, you get to snuggle up, you get to do that. The summer is like everybody's hot. Maybe I could put on the AC, but I think winter to me depicts romance. Because if it's spring and it's raining, like, yeah, the person could hold the umbrella, but it's not romantic. It's like, okay. But winter is that, you know, you got the hot chocolate and then you by the fireplace. So it's like it's beautiful for storytelling. Has any of my stories been set in winter? Not
No. Because I'm thinking that umbrella with, you know, girl standing outside and the downpour happens and she has a lot of bags in her hands and then here comes the knight in shining armor with an umbrella. You know, mom, do you need any assistance? Do you need any help? And he comes and he covers her and that's like the beginning of the end. So it can work for summer. It can work.
I mean, if you look at it, like the average book, romance book, let's say on Amazon and such, it's it has like a wintry feeling. They have snow outside. The girl, she got the cap on her head. They got the boots. So yeah, but okay, it's fine. You like summer. I don't like heat. So.
Sounds like Hallmark, kind of Hallmark movie
yes,
type of feel.
We are very biased to Hallmark. That's a fact. This is for those in the Caribbean and other countries. Cricket or netball? Cricket or netball?
Cricket. I want the only two options.
Yes. That was just for the Caribbean people. Cricket or netball? I don't know.
I don't even know what this. I'll probably say cricket. My dad loves cricket, so probably I don't remember even playing netball. I don't even think I ever watched a netball match. I never knew anyone. Never played in school. I don't have a clue.
I can't answer this question because neither one appeases me. I like track, so. But I have sisters, and they are. If you think guys go hard for sports, when it comes to cricket match, especially. Don't stone me, those of you who may like, but when it comes to like the Team West Indies, they have it's like an emotion that goes with them. They're like, oh my, like, you know how guys will scream at the screen? That's my sisters. And I'm like, guys, I'm just gonna be in the corner until y'all finish because I can't.
Yeah.
And netball, I think I've watched it maybe a few times personally, and I'm like, okay, are you guys done? It's just like,
yeah, I understand. The only time I've screamed at the screen like that is either for World Cup or maybe for Olympic swimming competitions, maybe gymnastics. I did that. Anything else? Mm-mm.
I like track. And then
especially when Trinidad played in the World Cup that year. Do you remember that? I think it was like in 19.
Yes.
I can't remember. It was the same year Shakira sang the song when they played in South Africa.
That was 2010. You said the 90s, really?
Oh my gosh.
Really? Oh my gosh. That was recently. Oh. Was Shakira even around those songs?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she sang the song.
Yeah, but it was I mean in the 90s. Was she around in the 90s? I didn't know about her in the 90s.
I don't even remember. I don't know.
No, that was I think 2010. That was a big deal, or no, maybe it was 2006. But either way, it was a big deal for Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
I still have my World Cup paraphernalia.
Oh my gosh.
It was a
the other day we were playing this song.
Yeah. So Trinidad and Tobago, if there's anybody who plays football, or well, for us we say soccer, but next World Cup, we'll root for you guys.
Yeah.
We trust. Okay, this one, pineapple pizza or meat lovers?
I mean, how could you separate it? Like you can't separate that. I want meat and the pineapple. Like I want both. I
know there's a lot of pineapple haters. That's why I put that question, especially.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Pineapple. I don't know why. Pineapple.
Neither do I. Because probably the fruit. I know fruit and pizza probably.
Beautiful.
I don't know.
That's the best thing that you can add to that pizza. That pineapple. Like I get the meat lovers, but pineapple, it just.
Correct.
So if you've never had it, guys, please.
Or even when you bake ham, you put pineapple on top.
Well, yes, that's true too.
That sweetness with the saltiness of the ham, it works really well. So I mean, pineapple and meat go way back.
They go way. Pineapple and meat pitch marbles.
You're so right.
But I think when I lived in Trinidad, and you remember we used to go to Subway. I put that pineapple in that sandwich. Oh,
yeah.
Boy. So combos. All right. The last, this or that, juice or tea?
Juice. I only drink tea like if I feel for it, or if it's really cold, because I know it'll warm you up. But juice.
Juice. 100%.
Even before that, water.
I guess water.
Yeah, water my first choice.
Water is. It's healthy, guys. I don't have a problem.
Sure, right?
Juice, I would choose it because hot liquids, nah.
Yeah.
So, let's get into some questions. Anybody in the audience, if you have questions, you can type it in the comment section and we will be answering it. So if you have some questions about anything, about the publishing world, about our books, about books in general, if you want to have if you have any questions that you want to ask us, you can start typing in the comments and then we'll be choosing it at random. Okay, so if you had to give up either snacks or drinks during writing sessions or music, which would you find more difficult to say goodbye to? Snacks, drinks, or music? So when you're writing and you're in your little zhuzh, which one would you?
Yeah. I would say snacks be the quickest to give up. Because no, let me go back. Let me go back. Because now I'm thinking more about it. I'll say music first.
To give up?
I need to, because I need to be in absolute silence to write.
Wow. Okay.
I need to be in absolute silence to write. Oh, there's somebody who is on the live. They just messaged me and told me that the comment section is off. In terms of the comments are turned off.
Ooh.
So I probably could check it out to see, because I think they maybe want to write a comment, but they're unable to. So while they're checking it out, I'll answer your question. I'll say music, because I need silence to write. I know some persons, they can play like instrumentals in the background, maybe for company while they write. Maybe that helps inspire some people as they write. For me, I need to think while I'm writing. I need to be able to hear my thoughts and be able to hear the Holy Spirit in the midst there. So I need to be quiet. So I don't have to write, whether it's a sermon, whether it's for a book, whether it's for a write-up for the platforms, anything like that. I just need that moment of silence. So I would say to my daughter, I would say, okay, I need to be very quiet. Very quiet, or I'll have to go in my bedroom and close the door because I need that quiet. The reason why I was going to say snacks first is simply because I dirty my hands. And I don't like to always have to be wiping my hands and then, and then typing again. But I'll definitely say music first.
Okay.
Because I can't think clearly with the song because I want to sing the songs.
Well, that's where we differ. Because for me, it will be hard to give up. I can see your comments now. So thank you guys for pointing that out. Thank you very much. We're learning. That's part of it. As I said, this is my first live, so thank you. Now I know what to do. Okay. Which one will be hard to give up? I'll probably say snacks. Not I would give up snacks because when I am writing, I need music in my ears. Like I need to, and I always, anytime I do some interview and such, I always give insider scoop. So as an author, while I'm writing, I'm dancing. There has to be some music playing, and literally I would stop typing, especially one of my favorite songs come out, or one of those, as I said, I love Spanish music. So there's this, I created a playlist with Spanish music. One of my favorite singers, worship, he does like rap, Christian rap. He also do like reggaeton. Alex Zurdo, love it. So anytime his song comes up, I would have, there's certain instances I would have to stop typing to dance, and I'll go and bust out in like a praise party because I love his music. And then there's some other guys too. So anytime Spanish music come on or some African music come on, I'm gonna stop. So I can't give up. I can't give it up. But snacks, because when I'm eating, I don't like to eat while I'm working. I can't focus. So snacks, I would definitely give up. I would definitely give up. So
wait, you said that you're dancing, Ida. So is that any African moves that you're gonna?
All those African moves I can do. Not demonstrating, but yes, I love African music. I love to dance to it. Because they're very, other cultures fine, but they are very free. And I like freedom when I dance. Like David, how he was free, that's me. So I may look quiet, but everybody who knows me know that if there's some music, I'll be in the front dancing. Probably
It's
not.
very true.
Probably not in church though. Like in church, I'll probably sit in the side unless the
And
Holy
it's so opposite.
unless the Holy Spirit hits. But if I'm like at
Yeah.
a function or something, I will be on the dance floor. Like I'm not one of
Mm,
those person you have to be like, well, everybody come and dance. I will be dancing. So especially if
yeah.
Spanish music is playing. So yeah.
Because I remember when I lived in South Africa and I went to church, and it's not like the Western world, they dance freely.
Yep.
They don't study about, oh, my body is moving too much like this or like that. They dance freely because it's a part of their history.
Yeah.
Dance is a big part of their history. Like in a lot of the different tribes, they have tribal dances and that type of thing, or native dances. So in church, it's a normal thing for them to be, moving and grooving. That's a normal thing, So, but I know we in the Western world, we have, the little church girl shuffle that just,
I
just go.
know. And that's
Yeah. So when we visit South Africa,
yes,
and we visit my home church back in South Africa, just Tree of Life Ministries, we're gonna
yeah, you need to tell
gonna
me
be able to
about.
dance free.
Okay.
So yes, something I wanted to ask you, Tia.
Okay.
So okay, right? So
Okay. Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh.
so I think it's 2 or 3 of your books so far, right? Of the 5 you've written, which is an epic goal all by itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is one that I've read,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I finished it. I'm not sure, right? And it's the murder book, because I'm trying to wrap my mind around, how did you just write a murder in Zaire? I know, like, for those who watch, let me just show you the book. This is it here.
That's the old cover.
I don't know.
That's the old
My
cover.
ring light probably just reflecting off the book, so I hope you can see it good.
That's the old cover, guys.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I had it from since back then, but what murder in a Christian writing a murder book? We would probably hear that about, secular writers.
Mm-hmm.
Murder and Christianity. How do you bring those two together?
Okay, so I think you're the first person ever asked me that. But what happened is, to me, the Bible is the greatest book ever written. It's inspired upon, written by many people, but it's the greatest book ever written because it has literally every genre.
Yeah.
If you think about it, even if it's interesting and you want to say like erotic, people are like, oh well, you have to read the Bible to really understand that it has every single genre. And one of the most prevalent genres is I would say mystery. The Bible is a mysterious book. There's a lot of questions that we as humans cannot answer, and that fascinated me. Every time I read the Bible, especially the book of Daniel and Revelation, I'm like, y'all talk about dragons, y'all talk about lion and den, like Jesus, but because it has so much mystery, there's a verse in the Bible that talk about kings searching for the truth. I don't want to misquote it, but that actually sparked my interest. Aside from the fact that I'm a Hallmarky, I love mystery, the genre of mystery, since I was a child. And it's not really, and people, those who would read my book would see I don't really focus too much on the crime itself. I focus on the solving of the crime. And that's because me personally, as an author and a teacher, a researcher, I love to search for truth. And when you have a mystery book, they introduce the characters, and then they present you with the murder or the crime. And you have to figure out, as the reader, along with the writer, how to solve it. So I have actually gotten a lot of inspiration from the Bible. Those of you who've never read the Bible, I promise you, it will change your life. Correct. Not only is it, full of intrigue and story, but it's full of truth. It is truth. So I use the Bible, honestly, as my inspiration to write mystery, every one of my mystery books. So people look at me like, okay, you're Christian and you're writing about a murder, But when you look in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, there are many accounts of murder. There's many accounts of war, fighting and all of that. But as I said, it's not just me writing a murder book because I want to be gruesome or anything, but I really want to show the solving of the problem or the solving of the crime. Because as I said, in the Bible, there's a lot of questions that's unanswered. There is. And it's just for us, to continue to search. That search means spending time with God, spending time with the Creator. The more you spend time with Him, is the more those things will be revealed. So the more you read the book, is the more things are going to be revealed. Because just like in the Bible, some things are not that obvious. So there's something in the literary world where we call a red herring. So we just throw in some random thing. So you see a random character, they have the evidence that maybe they could be the suspect or they're not. And that is where, as I said, so the Bible, I actually got my inspiration from the Bible. And I know it sounds crazy, but as a mystery or murder mystery writer, suspense or whatever, I got that inspiration from reading the Bible, especially the Old Testament. When you talk about when the I think it was the chief baker when Joseph, he was impaled, you got to figure out, you got to go and look in the dictionary to see what that means. That's not a cute word. But these things really happened. The conquest of David, there's a lot of war, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of mysterious events, especially in the Old Testament, and we don't have the answer to that. The greatest mystery is, and people want to know, where did God come from? I can't answer that. That's a mystery. Okay, in the beginning was the Word. Okay, what does that mean? We have all the theologians, we have all of these people, but there are certain questions that we're not going to get the answer to, just as humans.
It's so true.
Because then it's...
And I found the verse. Not to cut you, but I found the verse that you were talking about, so I just wanted to read it. It's here. It's Proverbs 25:2, where it is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings to search out a matter.
Yep. So God is, as I said, the Bible is an inspirational book. It's a book of truth, true accounts. It's not just some kind of stories as people think or fairy tale. It's true. It's a true historical account. And although it's God inspired, He wrote the book. He inspired men to write the book. So God is the greatest mystery author to me. So nobody can. All the people who we think is a great mystery writer or author, nobody tops God, because he presents things that it doesn't make sense to us, and we'll never understand it. You cannot tell me as a writer that that's not fascinating for you. You can't.
True.
There's certain things. You know how certain books or shows might have a cliffhanger? It's beyond cliffhanger. You cannot, nobody, all the learned men and women in the world through the ages, there's certain things in the Bible that we as humans will never figure out from the beginning to now in the future. And I really love it. So if I want, as I said, inspiration, I draw it from the Bible. So that's
I mean, and I can understand what you're saying, because it's like writing a book from the account of Daniel's eyes, like when he was having all these experiences, or like maybe writing a book from the account of Abraham's eyes, how that would have been, maybe from Sarah's eyes. I mean, I'm 90 years old and yet I'm here and I'm going to become pregnant. Are you kidding me? This has to be a joke. So I can understand what you're saying now, because I was curious about that. Like, how did you mesh it to? But I think you're writing about the experiences that people can have. And I'm being able to solve some of those challenges. So I think that's really good.
Okay.
Thank
you for that question. So those of you who asked, that's the answer. I was inspired by the Bible, not anything else, not CSI, SVU, Law and Order, nothing. I was inspired by the Bible. Okay. If you had the opportunity to live anywhere in the world for a year while writing your book, where would you go?
And
the book is set in that place, so that's the setting for your book. Where would you want to go and just be, inspired to write your next great novel?
You know what? I've never been asked that question, but as I'm thinking about it, I'd have to say Greece. I have to say Greece again. Because, you know, in the Bible, especially Paul dealt a lot with the Greeks and, you know, where we get the word Gnosticism from, which is just, you know, that the Greeks knew so much. I mean, there's Greek mythology, you know, because the Greek created a whole alternate universe with gods and goddesses and, you know, plots and themes and things that happen. And Paul was speaking a lot about, listen, be careful of that. Be careful that, you know, what they're saying move you, you know, because they're so good. It's as if they give you an orange and they ask you to peel it and then they tell you it's no longer an orange. Just because the skin is no longer there. So they were so good at that, you know, and Paul was able to refute a lot of their writings, a lot of their thoughts, you know. Their wisdom took them to places that they should not have gone, you know, because they heard the truth just like everybody else, you know. So I would definitely say, if I go to Greece, I want to write something maybe like one of Paul's experience in terms of preaching to the Greeks back then and what that would have been like, you know, flesh out that day-to-day thing with them. Maybe, you know, one of the wise men, one of the Greek astrologers coming to knock at Paul's door and say, listen, this thing what you're preaching, I can't prove this, you know. It's because I can't prove it. This don't make sense. You know, and then Paul have to say, well, listen, my experience is not at the mercy of your knowledge. Because you can't tell me I didn't experience this. You can't tell me I wasn't blinded for 3 days when I got knocked off a donkey, when I was going to do my business. You can't tell me I didn't experience that. You can't tell me that I didn't hear the voice of God. You can't tell me that all of a sudden my heart now changed. The same people that I was killing, now I love. You can't tell me, you can't explain away with knowledge what I experienced. So I would have liked to just been there, maybe, you know, in that kind of setting in Greece to see how that was going to span up, maybe to write about something like that.
Okay.
That would have been good.
So I don't want to be biased and say Italy again because I have a book set in Italy. So I need a second to think. I'm very biased to Italy though. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, fine. Not by force, but if I had to choose, it would probably be the countries that have like the Norse heritage. So I think it's like I don't want to think like Norway and all of those in Scandinavia because I love mythology a lot. I'm a history buff. I love mythology because I like to see, or I love reading accounts of how mankind tried to mirror the kingdom of God and hell and all of that. How, you know, even as I'm gonna throw it out there because people act like, okay, as Christians, like we don't look at anything, we don't do anything. Because when I look at you know, secular things, it will be it's really more of an analytical way. And I love Superman. He's my superhero. Batman, I'm sorry for all the Batman fans. I love Superman. And when you look at the story of Superman, you can see it mirrors that, you know, Jesus, the begotten son and all of that. And it's not to say, I'm not comparing in any form Superman to Jesus, but I'm saying when you have like the Norse mythology, that's where, for those of you who love Marvel and Avengers, you got Thor. And that's where he comes from, that. And just to see like the different, like these different cultures have so many gods. We have one, thank the Lord. We have one God and he can do all that. But then they have a God for this, they have a God for that. And I'm like, and it's not to brush it off, but to spend time in that culture to get an even deeper understanding of how they think. How did their ancestors come up with all of these different ideas of saying, okay, we have a Thor, we have an Odin, we have a Loki, and all of that, the jokester, and all of these different things. So I think for me, it would just to go to like Scandinavia, just go around those different countries in Scandinavia and get to know more about like the Norse history, the Norse mythology and stuff. So that's But if I had
I understand. I understand that because you see, the thing is, right, a lot of people watch these shows from Marvel and Avengers, you know, and without knowing the history of the thing, you know, like how, for example, like in Superman, their god is the sun god, which is where they get their powers from to do what they have to do, you know, Ra. So, and then you could go back in the Egyptian days. I mean, they had the sun god too. So, and we have to understand that there was nobody more powerful than God. People had to have their own little separate power because there was none that was omnipotent. So it's like, you know, so even in all of this, there's a way that God could be glorified because you can see that they had to create little mini ones. But, you know, Jehovah was just in a category all by himself, you know? And, you know, I'm glad that you're not an author that is afraid to tell that type of story because people secretly, and I don't want to use the word secret, but it is that people secretly enjoy things without even knowing the history of them, without knowing that, hey, okay, is this something that I should engage in, something I shouldn't engage in? Where's God in this? You know, and that is not something that people would think about. We just think traditional writing, you know, and I'm not knocking any traditional writers with respects to, you know, you write about prayer and the power of God and all that. There is place for that, you know, just like the body, there's place for the eyes, there's place for the fingernails, right? But what I'm saying is that there's the hardcore ones, maybe like the heel, like your body heels or something, that is willing to just go the distance and tell the story in a different way that can make it more relatable. And as I say relatable, there is something that I really enjoy because I'm a biblical teacher, you know, and I love to teach the application of God's word because I always say if it is you don't understand, you can't apply. And the Bible says God is all about us being doers, not just hearers, right? So here's what I'm going to ask you, Thea. There's a book that you wrote, Becoming a Royal Princess. Now, this is your famous Italian setting book, right? But this is what I want to ask you. You found a way to make identity or a woman's identity. You gave like a real day-to-day type of experience a woman can have struggling with her identity in Christ, to know that, listen, that this is who I am in Christ, not because the next person may not validate that. God's word already validated something, and that piece of writing, it shows how that is actually fleshed out, because that is something that a lot of Christian women struggle with, their identity in Christ, because I may not look like this and I may not be what society says is beautiful, and you know, all these different challenges that it has, right? What caused that? Like, you know, is it an experience you had? Is it something that you saw that caused you to write that book in a way that to show, listen, I am royalty in Christ, even if I may not be like that on the earth, in Christ I am. Just you know, talk about that, because I think that's important.
Okay, for me personally, I don't want to tear up. I'm not a I try not to do emotions, especially one online, but for a lot of my life, especially my teens into early to mid 20s, I struggle with low self-esteem. And although I would have dated and courted and was engaged to guys, I never actually felt good enough to be with any of them. For those of you who would have seen my Chronicles of Singleness, a lot of them cheated on me. And I always compared myself to those women they cheated on me with, or girls, or whoever they cheated on me with. And I had to come to a place where, and that took a lot for it to happen. It was a healing process, and God had to show me, because we as Christians, or even, you know, in the world, they may have some like motivation and affirmation and stuff, but you can say something 1,000 times. You know, some people say like, fake it till you make it. So, you know, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, I'm created in his image. And I'm like, I understand all that, but it never registered to me, because in my, I'm not talking about like my family and stuff, but because of those experiences, as I said, with the guys, being in, especially, high school was brutal. I remember liking certain guys, and I would never forget, one day it was time for prom, and I had a crush on this one guy for the entire 4 years of high school. And I wanted to not ask him out. We had a mutual friend. So I was like, you know, your friend has a guy, does your friend have a date that, does he have a date for the prom? So I would never forget, my friend, he looked at me, he was like, if you're thinking about you being his date, just remove that from your head, because you are not his type. He's never going to go for somebody like you. And I was like, okay then. I was growing up, I was not one of the skinny girls. I was always one of, the thick, I call them thickishas. I have no problem. So please don't at me. Don't tell me nothing about big girl and all. I know it's not like that. But I had that experience, as I said, especially like as a young person, being plus size is lived in America, New York City in the 90s. Now, I don't like to call anybody plus size or anything, but those girls who got more meat on their bones, the meat girls, I know there are men who love those in the 90s. They weren't loved, and I was one of them. And because of that experience that I had for literally, I think probably like 20 years of my life, I wanted to write a book, because that character, the main character, is like me. She's an extension of me. I wanted to write a book on what would happen if, with all my flaws, with all the insecurity and whatever I have, there is a man that actually say, wow, hey girl, hey, you looking like a snack. Because there's a difference between snack and food. Food you have to eat. A snack, people crave snack. They want snacks, right? So I'm like, what would happen if a guy actually look at me like, hey, look at, and the more I dug into that, I had to actually deal with and this book was written like last year. So I had to deal with, am I really healed? Do I really feel, beautiful enough or whatever? Do I still think I need to be a size, let's say whatever, size 8 or whatever? And I'm like, no. God loves me the way I am. And that's not a cliche thing. And that took, as I said, about 20 years of my life to get to that place. I'm in my 30s, for those of you who don't know. It took me about 20 years of my life to get to that place where I accepted me. Because it didn't matter, even like in the story, it didn't matter how much the guy loved the woman. If she didn't love herself, she would always been like, okay, you said you say you love me, but like for me, I have a lot of like I deal with little acne and stuff. I never try to hide it, because people are like, oh, you should wear something and cover that. I'm like, for what? If I have to, when I reach to that point, I have to date a guy. Like I'm like, this is like the worst I could look. There's nothing like, he's not gonna wake up one day like, oh gosh, this is it. So if you can love me, this is my face. I have that, here and there have. There's certain types of months, the month that no matter what happened, our body have a certain reaction. So if you can love me in that way, but before you love me, I gotta love me. I gotta accept me. I gotta look in the mirror and be like, yo, girl, you look the bomb.com. I don't care what nobody say. Right? But it took a lot out of me. Like it took a lot out of me to write that book, because it came from a place of truth. The description of Vaya, the main character, is actually a description of me. She's curvy. She got locks. It's not locks as in the hair term. It's locks as in what I have in my hair. That is an extension of me. But so as I was writing the chapters, I'm like, this is deeper than her finding love in some earthly man. Because as I said, if an earthly man loves you to all and you don't love yourself, you have not accepted God's love, then it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I wrote that from a place of truth, from true identity. That was my situation. I was with a guy, the account in that book, well, most of my books, but in that book particularly, as I said, I wanted to see what it would be like if a woman reached to the place, or me, where I'm like, yo, I love me for me, and he gotta love me for me, but more importantly, God loves me for me. And that's the premise of that entire book. The identity that I have in God, not a cliche, because we also have some scriptures that we quote, but honestly, those scriptures didn't mean anything to me. I'm not even going to front and say, they were like, oh, how you could say, it didn't mean anything to me, because you can tell yourself 1,000 times the same thing over and over, but until it actually, you have to reach to that place where you have that encounter with God. So there was without giving away the book, there was a part in the story where the character, she looked up to the sky and she saw how magnificent it was. And then she had this like peace about her, like, if God could create the stars and the moon and have all these beautiful things and stuff, why do you think you, as his daughter, that you are less than? Why? Everything that God created, everything that God created was beautiful. So for any lady or man, boy and girl who may be looking at this, it doesn't matter what you may not look like whoever you think is the most beautiful person. Your face may not be flawless. You might have a space in your teeth. That's a Caribbean thing, I guess. A lot of us got that space in our teeth. But it doesn't make you any less than. And one of the things that I had to deal with is other people always say, oh my gosh, you know, you're so beautiful, you this and that. But those, I always call it words. Unless I felt or had that experience where I'm like, I am, then it didn't mean anything. And I wrote the book from that place of having overcome that insecurity. Because the worst thing, and I'm going to say this to like the upcoming authors, and don't, if you're writing a book and you're not ready to tell the story or you have not healed, don't publish that book. Don't publish it. Because questions are going to be asked, like even right now, and I was about to tear up. But if you're not healed, and I'm not saying you may be healed 100%, but if you're not at a place where you can tell the story without being angry, without breaking down, without hating the experience, it's not time for you to publish. You got to heal. So especially if you're writing an autobiography or whatever it is, heal first. Heal first. I saw there was a quote that said, let me get it because I copied it. But the quote says, sometimes God calls us to write, not to be published, but to be healed. So a lot of people write books because it's like, okay, you know, there's millions of writers on Kindle. I want to write a book. Oh my, God can call you to write a book, but that doesn't mean he wants you to publish it. Sometimes the writing is the healing, not the publishing. The publishing is just you gonna get some money or probably know that you wrote a book. But the healing comes from the writing. So some of you, yes, God may have called you to write a book, but you gotta ask him, do you want me to publish? And if he says yes, when? Because you may not be ready to publish 2022, God's willing. It may be 5 years after that. So that's a situation, no matter what type of book you write. As an author, you will go through the emotions. You can write a comic book. I love comics. You can write a comic book and go through the emotions. You can write a sci-fi book, and if you're writing and there's no emotions attached to it in any kind of form, then you're not a writer.
True.
You're just somebody who want to put words on a document. So, writing is an emotional experience. And for me, becoming a royal princess was emotional because I realized, as I said, that the becoming, it was a process. But at the end, you realize that although you're going through the process, that doesn't mean you weren't already.
Correct.
So she was already royalty. It just took her some time to realize it. Because God doesn't say, oh, well, here's your crown of whatever after the fact. As his child, you are royalty. It takes us, we live in time, we live in eternity. It takes us a while to get stuff. So it took me a while to get it, but I'm healed, I'm good. It's fine.
No, it's true because I was watching a live session from Apostle Pagani last night. And I think it may be viral by now because the topic he was talking about, right? But there was one thing that he was saying in it, which was him quoting scriptures wasn't enough. He needed to be delivered. He needed an encounter with God for those things to be broken. And sometimes, you know, we go through things and don't realize that we need an encounter with God. You know, even as I'm talking, I see that my husband has joined. I have to give special props to my husband, Tia. Just excuse me for 1 second. My husband is on the line. That's Pastor Jamal Bridges. But to me, that's Jade. That's Babe. So good night. Good night to you. And so what I was saying was that, you know, he was speaking about that, you know, what the encounter that you need from God, because he was talking about that the word wasn't enough at the point in time because he needed God to remove that thing from him. He needed an encounter for God to remove it. And I think in terms of what you're saying was that's why I mentioned that the word and quote in the scripture wasn't enough until you had the encounter to remove that.
Yep.
You know, and I think that is, you know, extremely important. You know, that encounter with God is not enough to just use the word. You know, it's a synergy. You know, that's like being in a relationship and all you do is, you know, just do one thing, just talk on the phone. You know, when are you going to actually go out, or, you know, meet the parents, or talk to somebody else, or, you know, that kind of thing. It's not just one track thing. So I think it's really important what you said, and I think a lot of people need to hear that. You know, people who are watching now and who will watch the replay, you need to know that, because some people, they feel that exact same way, and they don't know how this fleshed out. They don't know how to apply that. So I think that book, and I think I have it here, right? This is it here. It's an easy read. Thea is one of the, and I'm going to say this, right? You're one of the best literary writers that I know.
Oh, thanks.
Because your reads are easy. Your reads are easy, right? And in a time where physical books could easily become obsolete, like in the morning, right? Your reading is easy. And so, and I really got that, okay, the character is an extension of you, and that this is something that the real people go through. You know, you see, sometimes, you know, we go in service and everybody praise the Lord and we sing and we clap and etc. People dealing with themselves, dealing with their stuff, you know, and then nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to be open so they could get healed. I mean, confession is part of it. So people could be healed. But, you know, you always have those that would say, oh, you going through that? Or why are you going through that? Or why you doing just this? Or, you know, you have those that would do that and make it difficult. But James 5:16 says for me to confess one another so that we could be healed, and that I could pray for you and and you'll be healed. So there's application for confessing where we're at so we could grow. So that's good there.
So anyone who has any questions, as I said before, you can type it in the comment section as we continue. So Giselle, if you feel uninspired and you sat at your computer for 1 hour and you have not typed anything, how do you get the creativity flowing? So I don't call it writer's block. I don't like to use that term. I say creativity block. So how do you overcome your creativity block?
I think, to be honest, I don't think I have creativity block, to be very honest with you. Or because I know you don't like to use the term writer's block.
Yeah.
I don't have that because it's something that it has taught me not to claim.
Okay. Yeah.
Because after I wrote my first book and I realized, okay, Lord, you've put this gift of writing in me, and I realized it's not just writing books, it's for writing anything. And I didn't realize the wealth of the gift until after writing, you know. So I don't really, I don't claim that, because I remember I was trying to, like how God does with me, he gives me titles and he gives me outline. And so because I have that and I don't really go searching for it, when it's time to flesh it out, I say, okay, God, I say this to him, I say, listen, you are the greatest author. You wrote something over 2,000 years ago and it's still valid, it's still potent, it still have all this power. The words are still so much alive. Surely you can tell me what to say, you know? And as I said, and that was the time when God started to teach me about the gift that he gave me, and that don't confess any blockage. Don't confess that. It's right at my feet, you're going to find it, you know? And of course, as well, what helps me a lot is that when God gives me a title and I tell my husband about it, or I tell me storyline, he helps me flesh that out, because we'll talk about, because I don't know, my husband and I, we have a, I don't know if it's unique or what.
Did you see his comment? He said that I have to water her inspiration every so often.
No, it's true, because if I don't get uninspired, is that I need to flesh it out. So, and my husband and I, we have, I don't know, we're married, but we're friends. Say it like that. You know, we're lovers and friends. So I would come and say, hey, babe, listen, I have this title. What do you think? Like there was one that that came to me recently, right? I don't want to release it as yet because it's still in the embryonic stage. And I was saying, I told him about it, and he was like, hey, well, let me talk about it. And we started to talk about it and pretend as though we're acting it out, right? Because that's the kind of conversation sometimes we have, right? And by us doing all of that, right? I mean, I had a good footing of, okay, what should be in this book, right? So for me, I don't get blockage. I have to have that rapport with him, right? And we would discuss it and we would think about it. And, you know, and I must say, he drives me, he drives me like, I don't know. Like there was a time I was doing some research for one of the manuscripts that I'm currently writing. The first part is finished and I'm on the second part, right? So that's just to put in a plug next year, maybe January or February, right? I'm going to have some new publications coming out. And I remember asking him, you know, babe, what do you think about this? And he didn't say nothing at the point in time. So we'll talk about it another time. And I was like, what do you mean? I want to talk about it now, right? And then it's because 2 days later, I see a whole, a whole 50 questions from him from our website regarding the same topic. It's because he went and researched it to send me information to review. And so, you know, that is why, you know, so that is really how it works with me. I flesh it out with him. That's you know, that's how we do it. I flesh it out because God gives me the starting point, gives me the title, give me the name, give me the outline, and I flesh it out. I flesh it out with my husband. So, but I don't claim creative block or writer's block. I don't claim that. God told me don't do that, so I don't.
Okay, for me, I'm always writing something. So, creative block or not, it doesn't happen because I'm always writing something. But
yeah,
as an author, it's not a challenge, but I actually write the most during the nighttime. I work at night. My clients know that I work at the nighttime. They see emails from me at all kind of hours because I'm up. I work in the night. So I have a day job and a night job. Don't ask me when I sleep. But I work at night, and that seems to be when I have my inspiration. Like, or sometimes I have a dream and I wake up. But when I have a moment where I'm just like, I think for me, I have to stop myself from writing. That's actually my thing. I have to stop myself because my brain would always have something to say. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you can say this, but what about this? You know, there's those memes where your brain is talking. That's literally me. So it's like, I'm writing this, but another thought comes to my mind. I'm like, no, let me just finish this paragraph. And before I can finish, I have to try to write the outline. I don't know how I don't know, like, if anybody else have that, but your thoughts have other thoughts. So you can think more than one thing at once. I don't know. It does make sense, but I have that. So I'm thinking about something while I'm thinking about another thing. And I had to stop myself from writing. I'm like, okay, T, it's like 4 a.m. You got to go to sleep. And I'm like, And it has happened to me so many times. Honestly, I just go through the night until I feel like I've written all I can for that night. Because what would happen is I would close the computer, I would turn it off, I would go into bed, try to close my eyes, and then my brain was like, hey girl, so chapter 15, this is the outline, continue writing. And I would honestly have to log back on the computer and finish because my brain doesn't allow me to go to sleep. It's weird. But how I stop that, or if I have moments where I'm like, okay, I don't know what to write, which is rare, I would actually go and have, as I said, one of my dance parties. So I'll put on my music even louder, and then I'll just start dancing around the room. I'm talking about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm dancing. Obviously, nobody can hear me because I have the earpiece, but that's how I get my inspiration. I start.
Yeah.
I think my family has gotten accustomed to me being up at all kind of weird hours. Thankfully, most of them sleep heavy, so I don't sleep with them. But I'm up. So yeah.
I hear that. I hear that. What I started to do was that just try to record it, like on the voice recorder on my phone, or like maybe the video, even though it's dark, just record it so I can hear myself saying it. I used to do that, and my husband got me a voice recorder. The one that you walk around with, that reporters go around and they do that, you know. And so, you know, I told myself I have to just start to use that, because exactly as you say, that sometimes, you know, okay, I need to go sleep now, but the thing is still flowing so much. So I hear that. A recorder will help.
Not for me. I need to record in my brain. That's not for me. So these are all tips for the upcoming authors.
Yeah.
You know, these things work. What has influenced you the most as a writer? I know I talked about it, but what has influenced you most as a writer?
What has influenced me most? Okay, so I'm gonna have to kind of backtrack in order to answer that question, right?
No.
I never saw myself as a writer. I didn't have an idea of that. I wasn't even a fan of English in school, to be honest. I preferred math. You know, my husband will tell you, you know, if it is that he wants someone to be calculated, he'll ask me rather than pull this calculator. He'll say, babe, what is, and you know, and I'll just tell him it, right? So this part of me, I believe God hid all those years until he was ready for it to come, so that no one didn't stifle it, or no one didn't kill that in me, right?
Wow.
So as far as I can remember, I've never considered myself a writer, right? I was not fond of even writing essays in school, as far as I can remember, right? But what I am is that I'm somebody, because of my experience, I'm always do my best to obey God. And so if God says jump high, jump low, he says go and do 10 cartwheels in the car park, I'll go and attempt to do 10 cartwheels in the car park. So when he told me to write my first book, I mean, I didn't. I had no idea of the future of that, you know? And so after writing it and it published and everything, that is when, you know, more started to come, right? And so I realized now my inspiration for writing is just when I listen to God. So I think my process would be when I go before God, he could tell me something even when I'm sleeping. Most times when I awake in the morning, it's just like if it's a little billboard flashing across my mind what it is that he wants me to do. And then I write it down in my book. I have a book where I write down all these things that the Lord would say to me. And then when I get the outline, you know, I'm behind Jamal like, babe, this is what came into my mind. What do you think? And I started to flesh it out with him. So really, I think it's just me listening to God. You know, honestly, that's where the creativity comes from. And then now, because the Lord has shared with me, okay, that he has given me this gifting, and I began to develop it. I know I must put in a plug and publicly tell you, thanks, Tia, because you have you've been able to drive me as a writer, right? You probably saw that in me all that time ago, but I didn't. Right, as I said, I had no clue. It was hidden from me all that time, but I guess it was revealed to you and probably some others at that time, right? And you drove me in that. So you drove me to dig deeper, to go further. You know, before I even send any manuscript to you, Jamal is who reads it. You know, and if it is he doesn't read, I'm reluctant to send it because I need him to read it first. You know, and that kind of thing. You know, so the creativity is really just me listening to God, you know. That's really the creativity there. And the process to flesh it out, like that is generally my process. You pushed me to that place that, so like I remember there was a time you and I had a conversation. I don't know if you remember, you may not. We were talking, you said to me, Giselle, you can write a story about anything. And I said, well, I think I'm a storyteller. And he said, okay, think about this. You go to McDonald's and you see a straw on the ground in the wrapper. And maybe the wrapper is a little bit torn. If you were that straw, can you tell that story of when you were first born or manufactured? And then they sectioned you off, or they already, assigned you to go to McDonald's to enhance somebody's drinking pleasure, and that kind of thing. And I remember we had that whole conversation about it, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I can tell a story from a straw on McDonald's restaurant floor, you know? And so because you told me that, I never forgot it, because it started to cause my mind to think more that, hey, okay, pull out some more. If God gave it to you, then it's there for you to pull out. It's there for you to tap into, because it's already yours. It's there for you to access it more, right? So I'll tell you, thank you for that. You know, an excellent coach.
Welcome.
So, yeah.
Amazing. So those of you who, as I said, the motto of Empress Royále Publishing is everything tells a story. Everything doesn't mean only humans. Everything tells a story. So a lot of you are like, oh, I don't know. I want to write, but I'm not sure what to write about. Start with your own story, and you'll see how you get inspired. I've had a few of my clients, they say, well, I think this is my only book. And I was like, no, it's not. And Giselle was one of them. I remember she's like, I'm going to write my autobiography. I said, that's a great start. Like, that's a start. And as a publisher and an editor, you would see things in your clients or people who you know, and you're like, but everyone who's here, who's watching, who's listening, you have a story. Your life is a story. That's a book in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can tell it in so many, you can tell it in different ways. You don't have to tell like from the time you were born to now. You can maybe talk about your senior year in high school, your college days, your trade days, all of that. All of these things are different stories that you can tell. A lot of people had intense experience. I like to use the word intense because you know, that's just a nice, whether it's graphic or I just say intense. It's like, why is she always saying intense? That's what I mean. A lot of people have intense experiences and they're like, not sure what to write about. But as I said before, the quote, it doesn't mean you have to publish, but write your story and it would inspire you. Some of you, even on here, might be a children's book writer. I personally, I don't, that's not my thing. Everybody has to know their thing. So I love to write mystery books. Yes, I've written some romance, and I'm not gonna lie, as an author, I wasn't really excited. I'm always excited to write my book, every book I write, but the mystery ones is what gives me the most excitement. I have books coming, like I have in my outlines some superhero stories to tell. I want to do comic, graphic novels. I love these things because that's what I grew up with. I am a visual person. So I like books that are visual. And yes, you can be visual through your words. But I don't want any author to limit themselves. So just because you have to write an autobiography of your life doesn't mean it has to be a regular book. It doesn't have to be a bunch of paragraphs. You can write a graphic novel about your life. You can do a comic book about your life. Why not? And that's why I like to push my writers. Like, you don't have to tell the story in a boring way. You should always write a book, or even that's part of formatting, but the book should be formatted to suit your personality. So if you're an exciting person, Giselle, she loves emojis. So I'm like, no, we're going to put emojis in this book. Some people talk a lot on the phone. We're going to include your phone conversation. Just tell the story. Even if you're writing a poem, be fun. Or be yourself. If you're a mundane person, and I'm not trying to like throw shade on it, but if you're like a person who's just like, I just want to get to the point, fine, you do that. But I know there's some people who's like, they're all over the place. I'm so dramatic. I cried. There's a tear stain. Put a tear stain in the book. And obviously, as I said, that's from formatting, but you don't have to tell your story in a boring way. Yeah. And I think that's where some people are like, oh. So I like to see my author's face, the client's face, when they're like, oh, this is not the same book. This is not the original manuscript that I get. I was like, that's great. Yes. Draft one won't be the same as your final draft. It won't. And for those of you, I'm going to give you those insider tips too. There is a process to writing. It is a process. The editing process is different for everybody. Some people need more editing than others, and that's fine. But the final product is not going to look like the first draft that you sent. It's not. Correct. Correct. One of the things that was asked is, how many how many drafts does your book go through? How many drafts did I send you, Giselle? I can't even. It's quite a few.
I think maybe it was about 5 drafts, and I think it was 5 drafts simply because I had Jamal read it before I sent it to you. That's like, a quality control person. And then I think I had rapport with you throughout my writing process, especially when you mentioned to me like about, that I could have emojis, because that's me, that I could, write it like, because I wanted the feel to be like, we just sitting down chatting here. That's the essence that I wanted to come out of the book. So I think I only had about 5 drafts, but I know of persons who had much more, based upon, because some persons I know they would send the manuscript and it's already written, but I think I had you helping me throughout the process, and then I had Jamal reading it. So it wasn't as much drafts as it could be, but really that drafting back and forth is a real thing. Like I tell people, even if it is like a dot was changed, an apostrophe was added, you have to resend that, because then when that book is published and somebody reads that, they would see, oh, it was supposed to have a full stop here, or a period here, or it was supposed to have an apostrophe S here for, Jill's bag or something, so, and that's the reason why, these drafts need to be back and forth, because it helps to eliminate that, because readers see it. There are times I read books and I'm like, oh, they were supposed to put something here, or they probably had a typo here, and that's just simply, from human error, they might have missed it, but that's the purpose of the back and forth. But I think I only had about 5 because you helped me. So I would tell anybody, if you're writing a manuscript, if you can have Tia as a coach throughout, it would really help decrease the amount of drafts that go back and forth, because that's important. It decreased it for me. Right. So I would say that,
Well, for me, it's a little bit different because I have an editor for my book. I edit the books for my clients, but I have an editor, and even when she does it, I go back and I edit it myself. So yes, I do edit my own books. And honestly, if I say 50 is a minimum, I'm not. I have a lot of drafts.
Wow.
I have a lot, because even after, there are times even after the book is published, I'll go on and I'm like, how did I miss that? Because human error is a real thing.
Yeah,
it is a real thing. So,
correct.
And I want my book to be perfect, but there's no perfect book. There's none. Because one of the things, especially as an author, you will always have something to add. You would always have something to add. I could have added this. I could have put this, but at the time, and they always have something to add. Does that mean you have to add it? No, it doesn't mean you have to add it, but it will always be. So, what a lot of people don't know is that every time you make a change, that's a draft. I don't know about other companies or whatever, but I consider every change a draft. Because you have to save it, especially when you're doing formatting. If you change just one, you add, like, let's say you add a word. If before the book had 20 pages, sometimes you add that word, it becomes 21, and you have to check and make sure that 21st page doesn't throw off the entire thing. Because in order to publish the book, you need even numbers. These are industry secrets, but you can't just publish the book with an odd number. So if you look at a book, you would notice that even if it ends in an odd number, the actual printed pages is always even, because you must have the front and the back. It's not going to say 25 pages. It's going to be 26. So all of that is part of formatting, and that's part of the process. So all of those I consider, when I edit the books for my clients, it's a draft. So sometimes I send it and you're like, I'm not sure if I want to read that. That's up to you. But that's a draft and I must send it. This is a random question I got. What is your preferred font to write in? Because we've got the basic Times New Roman.
Preferred font? I like Arial. Arial. Or there's one called, I think, Helvetica. Helvetica or something like that. That one. And other than that, probably the Comic Sans. You know, I find when I say Times New Roman, it's so formal. I think about, you know, like work or like an office, and I'm like, I don't want that. So I think I write in something else that a font that I don't mind seeing, you know, because, and as well as I realize just to protect my eyes, I raise my stuff to 150 if I zoom in.
Oh, wow.
Because you know, I don't want to just be like after a while, you know, so I raise it so I can just be comfortable and I can see clearly and that type of thing. And that works for me. That works for me.
So keep on sending your questions. Sorry, keep sending your questions. I'm seeing some of the questions coming through. Keep sending your questions in. We're going to keep asking them. Go ahead, Giselle.
You know, I have a quick question, T. Of the 5 books that you wrote so far, how many are series, as well as which story are you most excited to write about? Of the 5 of them.
So far, all the books that I wrote is part of a series. Becoming a Royal Princess, I only published that one, but there is another book coming after it. The Road That Led to Love is the beginning of a series. Murder in Zaire Valley. So I try to write a lot of series book because I like the character arc. I like to tell the process of how they grew up. Obviously, the characters in book 1 may not be the same characters in book 5. Somebody will change, but there will be that consistent character. Okay. I love series writing because it just helps to alleviate a thick book. If I had to write all my stories as one book, it'd probably be an encyclopedia of about 1,000+ pages. And I don't really think the readers want to read that. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of books become series. Because I could just tell the story. I could just keep going on and on. But nobody's going to sit down there unless I would probably do it. But the average person is not going to go and read a book 100 pages.
Correct.
Not. So
nonetheless, you know, it has this nice flow. You know, there was somebody that told me that, you know, Giselle, I read your book and I read up to page 99 in one day. You know, because there was such it's a flow that you have. You know, so I think I could read 100 pages in one day. I've done it already in books. You know, but when the flow is nice and the storyline is, you know, it just captivating. You know, that's a skill all by itself. So
I think one of the I would like to advise, you know, upcoming authors and anybody in general. I got this, it was like a tip from, I believe it was James Patterson. I'm not quoting, so don't go and say he didn't say. This is just what I remember. And he said that he writes short chapters because of a situation that happened. I think it was with his son. His son, you know, didn't really want to read long books, or there's a situation, but he started to write short chapters. I believe that his books have each chapter has about 4 pages or less. And I actually took that to heart. So sometimes, like, some people are like, why does your book have like 50 something chapters? Can't you just put 20 chapters and done? But I realized, especially for there's some people who reading is not their thing, but when they see, wow, I can actually read it, I guess it's like a mind thing. I could read 40 chapters in one night, which is technically says 100 pages. But I can read 40 chapters. You feel, I read 40 chapters, and by the time you're done, you finish the book. And that's what a lot of my my readers say. They enjoy reading my book because the chapters are very short and quick.
Right.
You know, so as I said, that's a tip for those who are writing. I know, especially with, oh my gosh, autobiographies. I know some of you want to tell your story. You probably have 10 chapters. Each chapter have like 50 pages. Ooh, I'm not, as I said, I'm not like saying, oh, don't do it. But the majority of my books, I don't like to put chapter titles, because as a writer, that's actually the hardest thing for me to do, to figure out what's the title of this chapter. Just chapter 1, chapter 2, Roman numeral 1 and 2, whatever. I'm not going through all of that, because what happens is that when I, as the editor, have to break down your chapters, let's say your book had 50 pages and I have to now break it down. Now we gotta figure out some new chapter titles. So as I said, I'm not trying to say don't have chapter titles, but if I can encourage anyone who's an upcoming author, try to keep your chapters short. You might, or even if you don't know how to break up your chapter title, wait until your book goes through the editing process and have the editor break it up for you and say, okay, well, this is, I see that originally you had 300 pages and I broke it up. Now I gave you 50 chapters, and maybe then you can come up with the name. But try, because it is daunting as a reader who maybe don't like to read when you see 50 pages. Because a lot of people be like, you know, I want to read a chapter a day. And you're like, oh my gosh. Most people, let's say, read during, let's say at work, or they might read at night. 50 pages though? Oh my gosh.
And as much
as I love to read, I actually flip through. I'm like, oh gosh, let me see how much pages I gotta reach to the end. And I get overwhelmed, and I love to read. So I can't imagine somebody who doesn't like to read. And like, it's like I don't know, it's like
I feel an accomplishment to like get to so many chapters, you know, while you're reading, rather than, you know, these long and drawn out. I don't like that either. So I don't like that.
She is Diamond Life said, I am definitely one of those readers that would read 50 chapters rather than 50 pages.
I agree. No, I agree because I mean, I think some traditional things that has been done don't need to continue. People say, you know, if it's not broken, then why fix it? For me, if it's irrelevant, why cause it to continue? You know, so 50 pages in one chapter, that's daunting. I wouldn't want to read that. And it would feel like you're not accomplishing anything, especially with the one chapter a day reading. People, you know, and we're in this season now where people have New Year's resolutions going on, and they say, okay, I want to read this book and I want to read a chapter a day or 2 chapters a day. In 2 chapters, it's 100 pages.
Oh, boy.
You know, that, you know, a flushing that resolution only dream, because it's not going to make sense. I don't even want to read that. That's too daunting. I feel like I didn't accomplish nothing. And the worst thing to do is to feel like you set out to do something and didn't accomplish it. You know, that's not a good feeling. So the traditional 50 chapters, 50 pages a chapter, no, there's no nice flow.
We don't do traditional over here. Publishing Redefined, we don't do traditional. That's boring. And as I said, even if, let's just say, somehow, I don't know, that 50 pages made it into that chapter, be a little creative. Chapter 1, part 1. Chapter 1, part 2. Like, so it's just, you know, there's a way to format it and make it look like, okay, and also just be extra. So instead of saying, okay, Jack and Jill are on the phone. Jack said this. Jill said this. Just format it
and get some nice descriptions to that.
Let them text the conversation. That's gonna, so it's not just that people reading words and words and words and words and words and words. When I do my book, I don't really format it much because the chapters are so short. So I don't do all fancy, you know. But as I said, when I do it for my clients, because I want to break up some of the chapters and stuff, I do that extra formatting. Because a lot of chapters are very long. So long. But to make it I always try to do reader friendly. I would format it. So if I know they're having a conversation, I'm not gonna have you say back and forth, whatever. Even if the original thing may not be them talking. I would just make it like a phone conversation, text message.
Yes, I think you did that in my book for a text message I have. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen. I remember you doing that for me, and I was like, this is epic. I didn't even know you can have this in a book. Let me see if I can find it as you're talking there.
Okay, so Diamond Life said the book has to be really interested in order for me to read all of that in one sitting. Not everyone have that kind of attention span. You sure right?
No, I agree. I agree. And it has to be engaging. You know, if Jack is if let's say Jack and Jill are in a relationship, and let's just say, you know, Jack is waiting for Jill to call. He could talk about like when he heard the phone ring, he felt a ringing in his soul also. You know, some things that just, you know, well, you know, I'm really good with descriptions, you know, so I get it.
That was a descriptive writer. I'm more of a dialogue. I like to talk about it. But she would tell you how the moon looked beautiful. The moon is glistening on the waters. And I'm like, my character would say, wow, look at the moon glisten. Like, so it's different in that way. But it's still not, because my editor, she told me, Dear Star, do not describe the color blue. And that was since I wrote my first book. And what that means is that a lot of people, they like to give a whole background before they start the dialogue. I remember reading this book and I was like, my gosh, what is this? So first of all, the chapters were very long, but the book took about 10 pages before the first person started to talk. So all of that is history, background, and I'm not talking about historical book. I'm talking about, it's supposed to be a romance or whatever. And I'm like, I gotta read through you describing all of this, how the oars on the boat is stinging and you're at the lake. And I'm like, why can't you talk about it? Like, why can't you say the character is at the lake? Can you imagine 10 pages of description, no dialogue? I'm like, is anybody, and I was so mad. I was like, let me flip through. When is the person going to talk? And I think it's like page 20 when the first person talks. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So upcoming authors, don't do that. Don't do that to your readers. Because you know, one type of genre that you don't torture those, sorry, not the word torture, so that's the wrong word, but children's book, you guys get to the point. So when you're writing, try to get to the point. As if you want to write a lot, make it into a series, but try to get to the point. I'm not saying you can't have build up. I'm not saying you can't have background and all of that, but a book being 500 pages for no reason, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just have 2 books of 250, book 1 and 2. But don't.
I know what I realized too, that authors don't like to hear. A reader can tell if you're being long-winded. They can tell if you're over-describing the color blue. You know, they can tell, you know, and that's when I think writers, they write for themselves, forgetting that they have an audience that they're writing to.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so I found a text message, and then there is something else that I want to show because I just think it's really creative, right?
Okay.
Now, people, I am, you know, my personality is very, you know, somebody describes me as rainbows and pops, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted my book to represent that, and I didn't know you could have all that in an autobiography, but, you know, Thea told me that I can, so we had it. So this is in here. I hope the ring light doesn't reflect too much. This is in here. So this is where a text message that I had sent to a friend. And there is a chapter where I speak about the whole experience of living in sin and living in disobedience. And I created it as though I was taking you on a journey, and I created it as though I'm taking you on a flight with me, right? And I described the name of I gave a name of the flight. And so Tia created a boarding pass for it. That was the idea for that chapter. And so, you know, this is my initials here. This is the name of the plane, or the model of the plane. This is the destination. And I think I have all the information here you would normally see on a boarding ticket. And so I remember somebody saying to me, all of that's in your book. And I was like, yes, you know, and they really enjoyed it because it wasn't stuffy. It wasn't traditional, yet the essence of the message was there, you know, so there are things that we did in the book that I didn't even know you could do. I didn't know you could do that. I've never seen a book with that in it. I didn't know that was something that you could do. But I realized now that it's part of it. You can. And it didn't take away from anything. It didn't take away from anyone desiring to read it. I never had a bad review about it. And all the reviews that I had from persons, from Amazon, from bookstores, and nobody gave a bad review. No bookstore didn't say, well, I don't want to carry a book because of these things in it. You know, my book is in 3 bookstores back in Trinidad so far. And so nobody, you know, had an issue with it, but it was just refreshing. It was refreshing. And so
that's part of formatting, to those who
Yeah,
may not
hats
know.
off to you with that
That
because
wasn't originally in the book. It's part of formatting. So each book that I edit is different. So for her, she may have had that. I've had other clients who had an actual, like a Facebook conversation.
mm-hmm.
I had others, you know, texts and all of different things. You can have thought bubbles. So even if you're thinking, obviously in your own mind, you can have a
Yeah,
conversation in your mind with thought bubbles, because you know. So we're here. Myself and my team, we're here. Go back and forth. You can ask us questions. That's part of the process, actually.
yeah,
For those of you, whether you go with myself or someone else, but when you have an editor and they're giving you ideas, or they're encouraging you, or they're saying, you know, this is too much for whatever, don't fight them down. They know what
correct,
they're talking about, because
correct.
these are industry professionals. They know what they're talking about. So if I'm telling you, hey, you know, that book is, chapter 1 is a little too long, let's break it up. Don't be like, well, this is what I want to say in chapter 1. Okay, well, okay. I'm not going to fight you down. But what I'm saying is that because I understand that there are readers who they have that goal. I want to finish a chapter by the end of the night. But if that chapter is 50 pages, so just trust that your editor or the person who you're working with on the team, whatever company, as I said, that they're not out to, they're not out to ruin your book. They're actually
Yeah,
there to enhance it, to make it even better.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, Thea, was one more thing, right? And I think it's one we need to mention the blurb. Like, seriously, the blurb
Yes.
writing to the back of the book. I don't think that people understand. Like, you go in a bookstore, the first thing you're going to do, you pick up the book, you look at the front, oh, this looks nice. You turn it to the back
Yep.
and you start reading about the author. And then, if that interests you, then you're going to flip through the pages, you're going to look at the table of contents. Okay, okay. And then you're going to start to flip through.
That's true.
I don't think people understand or writers understand this part right here is the money. This part right here is your one shot.
Yeah.
Your one shot to either gain a reader or lose a reader.
That's true. So it depends on your genre. You would write a blurb to suit. So some blurbs, I've seen blurbs that, you know, some people, like for Giselle book, she had reviews for other people who read it. Some people might have quotes. Other people might just have a one sentence. And so your blurb is not, the blurb is basically a summary of what's in your book. It has to be relevant to what's in your book. It's not your commentary of why you think people should read the book. The blurb should make them want to read it. You don't have to tell them, this is, if this is the book for you. You don't have to tell them that. Let the blurb tell them why they should pick up your book. And that's something I would always try to encourage people. You don't have to tell, well, you know, if you're single and you need some tips, then this is the book for you. Show me the tips and let me make that decision as a reader.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I want to encourage upcoming authors. Don't force the people to pick up your book. Let them decide that they want to pick it up because the blurb is so good. You know, you talk about murder, mystery, intrigue, or whatever it is, and the person's like, okay, I see that. But if you're like, okay, so one day the person was walking down the street and you're just talking and talking and talking. No, the blurb is not the place for you to write the most. That is a summary of your book. And as I said, it has to be relevant. It has to be relevant to your genre.
Yeah.
If you're writing an autobiography, your blurb should not be fictional. If you're writing a Western, your blurb should not be bullet points of how to. It has to be relevant.
Yeah.
It has to be concise and relevant. Those are tips with a blurb. Concise and relevant. Trust your editor when they're telling you, that ain't gonna work. They're not trying to, and I would always advise also authors, choose one person, just one. Just one. Don't have a lot of people in your kitchen when you're writing. Meaning, oh my gosh, well, this person over here said this, and this person over here said that, and this person, no, because that's going to confuse you as a writer. So choose one person that you trust, but the person you choose has to be the target audience. So if you're writing a children's book, the person who you choose to review that book should be a child, not an adult, because they think differently.
Makes sense. Yeah.
If you're writing a book for babies, give it to a baby. They may not be able to hold it. Maybe if the baby is not excited to even, you might be like, well, they don't know how to read. If the colors is not gravitating towards the babies, then that means you got to work on some coloring. Babies love color. You can't present a baby with a black and white book. So that's something even for you as the author have to know, that you're going to be spending some money for the coloring of your book. Printing in color. If you're writing a book for pet lovers, do not have someone who hates pets read that book. If you're writing a book, let's say about overcoming, let's say a broken marriage, don't have a person who's divorced and upset read the book. So the target audience, the person who's reading the book should be the target audience. If it's for singles, let a single person read that book. Not a married person, not a widow. I'm not saying they weren't, single at one point, but currently, if it's for a teenager, let the teenage read. High school, high schooler. And you might be like, well, I don't know anybody. Find somebody. You got youth group, you have different, maybe, a book club where you want somebody to read it, but it has to be obviously someone you trust. You're not going to give everybody a book. But one thing as the editor, though, an editor can be your audience. It can be your target audience, because the editor would now know, okay, I know what a baby book is supposed to be written like. I know what a pet book, and the editor would now go and seek out that audience person for you. They're not going to give the person your manuscript. I'm not going to give them your manuscript, but I'm going to say, okay, so there's a book written about a dog. Do you think this, as a dog lover, do you think this is interesting? And they would let me know, not so much. And then now I can go back and tell the client, well, I've spoken to someone who loves dogs, and they said, well, that's not it. As an author, I also go to industry professionals. I don't know anything about the medical field, even though I had a brief stint in the medical field. And I would go and ask those in my family who's in the medical field, do you think this would work? Or if I know that I want to be super creative, I go online and I go on a generator and I make up my own stuff. So I'm writing a book now, and I created my own medicine name. I went online, found a generator. So one of the things I'm going to give you is, the book is coming out soon, but it's a different name for laughing gas. So currently it's nitrous oxide. I don't want to put that. I want, in my Star Islands, I want it to be a different name. So I created that. So if you want, but there's certain rules, especially in whatever subject, you can't, there's only so much your creativity could go, because people actually, whether your story is fictional or not, people actually take what you say to heart. So you don't want to tell them, okay, you're writing a book about sickle cell, and you're describing things that a person who has sickle cell or a sickler would not experience. Your book should be truthful, even if you're making up stuff. So maybe the experience may be truthful, but one of the medications that they get could be a made up one for whatever country you have. So there must be relevance. Even in fiction, it has to have truth in it. Right. Because people really do take it. Because if you're telling me, if I take X, Y, and Z inhaler and it's actually not, then, so as a writer, people don't think about, you actually have a responsibility to your audience as well. For facts, because people look for facts even in the genre of fiction. Okay. Do you feel, Giselle, it's most important to A, have a strong character, B, a mind-blowing plot twist, or C, epic settings? So which one do you think is most important? Strong character, mind-blowing plot twist, or epic setting? Based on your genre of, let's say, fiction.
Based on my genre, I would say I think I would say an epic setting. Here's why I would say that, because you have to first create a setting before you can even get a plot twist, because a plot twist is where all the cliffhangers, lie. But before you don't start off a book unless it's like part 2 of a series with a cliffhanger, with that plot twist. So I think the setting is important, and the setting is is where I do my best work in terms of describe it, you know. So I think, in my book, when I started off with this setting, I started off explaining that, you know, we were having a chapel session in Bible school, and the way that I explained it, that we were doing worship at the point in time, and I remember talking about, you know, the sweat off of the drummer's brow, and that, you know, just even I remember describing, you know, the way in which it is his head banging rhythmic motions and that kind of thing. So I painted that thing. So I think setting is best. So when I said that, you can actually envision the person going like this, how drummers go based upon how I described it. So I think epic setting should be first.
Well, I would choose mind-blowing plot twists. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for plot twists.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I write a book, especially my mystery book or my romance novels, I want to make sure that, although, let's be honest, especially if it's a romance, you know it could end 2 ways or 3 ways. A cliffhanger, they live happily ever after, meaning they get together, or they don't. But
yeah.
I don't worry about that. Somebody was like, I know this book is gonna end up with them getting married. That's great. But you see, the in-between is where I like to take my readers. The in-between emotions. So they were like, okay, I can't, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those readers who like to read the end of the book before I start, because I like to know it. I know some people, it's like it ruins it, but I do. When I go to a movie, I'm so sorry to all the movie producers. I actually try to look at the plot summary before, because I honestly think I missed stuff. So I read it before. I don't know. It's weird. So sorry to all the movie producers. They put it out there. I'm reading it. But that's fine with me. So I don't mind if people know that these people, you know, this couple is going to end up together. But it's the story in between that I love, the plot twist. So you're thinking, okay, she now met, you know, she met Jack today. Okay, so they're going to go on a first date. No, I want to throw in that plot twist. Well, first of all, Jack is in a relationship, so I'm not sure how he's gonna go on a date with you. So now you have to go through the plot twist of, okay, they break up. That's not really a cool plot twist. But then you realize, okay, not only did they break up, but Jack got kidnapped somewhere. You're like, wait, huh? I like that. He's kidnapped, so I still can't go on a date with him. When you find him, you find out he got amnesia. Oh my gosh. I don't know, people could think I'm crazy, but I like those stories. I don't want it to be, even if you can tell the ending, especially with the mystery book. I like to throw in the red herrings. I like to throw in the plot twist. So you are so determined. Like, there was one of the books I wrote, they were so adamant that this is the killer, and I'm like, yes, I like you to think that, but it's not. I can't wait to read it. I love that. That makes me feel so excited as a reader. As a writer, because you also don't want your book, you don't want it to always figure out where the writer is going. So for those of you who are writing, take the risk. Go there. Especially if you're doing fiction writing, go there. If you're going to include, let's say, some alien race, you have to be able to figure out how that works in your story, but go there. And that's why a lot of us who love, like, the Marvels and, you know, the Game of Thrones, or I never watched it, so I'm just saying, but because the writers went there.
Yes.
It wasn't something that you can figure out. So at the end of the movie, they're like, oh, that was the king? Oh, okay. That you have to go there as a writer, especially, you know, as I said, if it's not an autobiography, if it's not a textbook, go there. Even if you're writing a cookbook, go there.
Yeah.
Pictures.
No, I agree with that.
No matter your genre, go there. So how you go there with the autobiography? Formatting. Make it extra. Be extra. So if you know you went on a date, and I'm giving you guys tips, why not? I have no problems giving tips. If you went on a date with your boo, your hey boo hey, your hey girl hey, put up one of the pages should have a menu. Why not? Have a menu. Let me think that I'm sitting in a restaurant with you. I remember one of the books, it was a movie, and I've never seen a book that shape in my life, right? It was about the size of a phone. Yeah, this is my phone, guys. It was about the size of a phone, but it was the entire story. So it wasn't even that thick. So they wrote it in small fonts. They had different things in it. I was like, this is the best formatted book I've ever seen in a long time.
Mm.
Because it was not the typical book size, you know, the 6x9, the 5x8. It was not. It was small, but it included everything. So if they had a menu, the menu was small enough. I mean, probably you need a magnifying glass to actually read a book, but that's fine. But it was, that author went there with the format.
Yeah.
So go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we did that. Oh, this is not an author question, but what is your favorite word and why?
My favorite word. There's a word that I love to say. There's a word I love to say because of you know, a very close friend of mine, and it's a Portuguese word. It's because it's something that I just say at a random. Like it can be relevant, irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I am just glad that I know at least one word in the Portuguese language, and it's obrigado. So I always just say that. I mean, I could say it, and you know what? I think it means thank you, but I use it to say hi, how you going? Okay, bye. I say it because I'm just glad that I remember that one word. And so I'd probably use that word. I'll probably say that one.
Oh my gosh.
I know you have many, because I know you're trying to teach yourself Italian, right?
Italian. No, my word is actually not Italian. Mine is I'm gonna sell myself out here. My word is whatever.
Okay, yes.
It's simple. It's whatever. That's my word. Whatever. So
Wait, as you said, that's your word, right?
mm-hmm.
You have a lot of made up names in the book, like your books. You don't use like Bob or George or, you know, Jill in your book. Where you get those names from?
The names I use are I love combinations. So I have names, my family members. I tell the story all the time, but it's true. My family members, so I take names of my sister's name, my name, and I combine it. I love different cultures, so I use names from different cultures. The thing is, the names are weird to us as Westerners, but to those countries that the words come from, it's not weird.
Yeah.
But because I know that most of my audience is, you know, from this side of the world, is gonna be a little weird to them. So they're like, "Oh my gosh, how do I pronounce this?" And I'm like, "Pronounce it however you want." Because when
I
my
was
books
like that
become,
too.
when my books is a movie, turn into movies, God's willing, I will actually tell you how to pronounce the book, the names. There are some names I'm not even gonna I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know how to pronounce. And I purposely did that. So I'm saying whoever would get that part in the movie, however they pronounce their name, we going with it. So whatever the actor or actress said, that's how to pronounce that name. They were like, okay, you know, my name is whatever. If you say my name is Uzbek, no problem. I don't know how to pronounce it myself. So I'm not even gonna. So to my readers, there's some of the names I don't even know how to pronounce, and that's fine. Or I might pronounce it one way today, and tomorrow I pronounce it another way. That's fine. That's the beauty of linguistics. Language is beautiful.
I
So,
guess.
but I
Yes.
love to mix up. So there's one of my characters. She has and I don't want to give it away too much because it's a future. It's part of the series, but she comes from. She has an interesting history. So she has different cultures in her family. Like her parents each come from two sets of, you know, cultures. So I chose her name, like her first. I like to give my characters middle names. I don't know why, but I like them to have more than two names because I do, and it's cool to me. And her name, so one of the name might be from Kenya, another name might be from Nepal, another name might be from Zimbabwe, another name from Greece, and the last name might be Spanish. That's all her name. So I'm gonna make sure her names have that. And I like that because one of the things I'm not just a writer, but I'm also a teacher.
Yes.
And I love people. I guess I'm kind of hoping that they do, but I like people to research even when I'm writing. So I put things in there. So like, even if it's a made up medicine, I'm like, okay, they're like, is this real? I like people to research. So I put that in there. I put countries. If you notice in my book, I include a lot of countries. Although it's based in Star Island, they travel to different places because I don't want people to just read my book for reading's sake. I want them to read and learn. Even if it's, I learned a new country. Some people may not know Estonia is a country, you know?
Yeah.
But if they see Estonia in the book, it's like, oh, wow. And what they're going to do, more than likely, hopefully, go on google.com, Estonia, and they learn about a new culture. You know, so that's the kind of thing. A lot of people don't know that Timbuktu is a real place. It is. It's not just, oh, I'm going to that's a real place. Madagascar is not just from penguins of Madagascar. It's a real place. And this is the kind of things that I love. I love people to research too, because I'm a researcher. Even if they research one thing, it doesn't matter. So if I put a Bible verse in there, I want them to not just read the Bible verse, but the chapter. So I include it there. So everything I do, it's not just, I just want to write for writing's sake. I write because as a teacher, I love people to learn. So I always put stuff in there. So if you see a name, I had one person message me. They're like, I like the name of that character. For my daughter, I'm going to use that name. And I was like, that's nice, but make sure you go and
get the meaning.
Yeah, get the meaning of it.
Get that meaning.
Some of the characters that I choose specific names, and this is biblical too, to fit their personality. So if they're a bad person, their name is not so cute. So if you see if you go and research every single one, some of the names of my characters are made up. Like I combine different words, but others have a meaning. And
I'm going to go search one of them right now.
Based on the meaning, you would understand the characters more, why they behave the way they behave and all of that. So I want to know which one you're going to research.
I mean, I just went to research Vaya, because that's in your, you're becoming a royal princess. That's the main character, right?
Yeah. Vaya.
And it says here from names.org that it's of Latin origin and means purple flower.
Okay, so that's interesting because names have different meanings. Vaya, I actually did not get her name from that. I actually got it from Greece. It's a Greek, a location in Greece. So I didn't even go that deep to find out it means purple.
But then you like purple, right?
Yes, that is.
So it kind of just, works well. It kind of just works out.
Okay, she is Diamond Life asks, what's an example of a made-up character? I'm guessing in terms of names, the characters that I have though, they're based on like cities and countries and stuff. But the places that they live in Star Islands is where I would have made up the names for. So the characters' names are not necessarily made up, but the location is.
The location.
So Star Islands, I got it. That's my name, Star. The same spelling, and I just added islands. And there's, I don't want to give it away because if you don't know, you don't know. But one of the locations in the story, the road that led to love, is actually one of my middle names, and I added it and pretend it was a city. So if you look deep, there are some made up names. Some of the places with the food. So those of you who pay attention to, I guess I do because I wrote it, but a lot of the food that you would see in the story, in my stories, are written in italics. And the reason I wrote it that way is because I made those food names up. Even if it's like, okay, lasagna, but a different form of lasagna, I would put it, and I put it in italics. The drink names, I made it up. Even if you see tea, a type of tea, you'll be like, why are these things italicized? And that's because I made it up. So anytime you read something and you see there's it's in italics, it's either I made it up or it's from another language. So I would like you to like check it out. So if I write in Greek, if I write in Spanish, I'm gonna italicize it so you'll know this is not from the English language. So more than likely, if you choose to, I'm not forcing you, you're gonna go online and type in, what does this mean? And some of the things that I also do as well because a lot of people would have asked me, why do you write in other languages? We only speak English. And I'm like, okay, well, you may not, but I have readers who talk in other languages. But
Correct.
one of the things one of the ways that I help my readers is I would have the character speaking after them repeat what they said in a different language in English. So if you say, okay, hola, I would say, oh, do you mean hello? So you would know what I'm trying to say. So it's never that I leave my character, my readers, like, confused. It may not be exact translation, so they might have the description. Let's say for a food, one of them, it was in Croatia, and I wrote a Croatian food name. I don't want to translate that for you. You go and figure out that this word means beef. That's fine. But if, you know, the character, they would go to the waiter and say, well, can you tell me what this means? Oh, sorry, first of all, parla inglese, Italian. Do you speak English? Right? And then if they respond to you, they're like, oh, okay, you speak English, and they can respond. So as I said, I love language, I love history and all of that. So everything that I do is incorporated in my books. So yeah.
Gosh, no. I know I couldn't help it. I just went to check another name because I just couldn't help that Via was so much close to, even though it's another from another language. So I checked Kalevi, which is another name from in the same book, Becoming a Royal Princess, and it means hero. It's from sheknows.com. So, and his character is kind of like a hero in the book. So
yes.
I see where you went with it.
His mother's name is Greek. The children name, I think some of them is Greek. I believe one of them is Indian or something. So yeah, I do incorporate, yes. So I don't just name them for naming's sake. I actually research if there is because all names don't have a definition. So I figure that. So if you name after a river, whatever it means, if it just says river in Zambia, then that's what your name means, river in Zambia. But I love, as I said, I just love, I love it. So I don't want to cut it short. I don't want to end. But I don't want to give out too much information because somebody said that they want us to come back at another time.
Yeah.
Day.
I think we're already 2 hours in. We already had a whole.
I didn't even know that.
We already had we had church a whole 2 hours already.
If it's up to me and Giselle, we would literally talk all night. We will. It's just, that's what we do. We'll talk all night. But I just want to thank everybody who would have joined us, who sent in their questions. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments under the video. Let us know when you want us to come back, what you want to talk about. Maybe you want to talk more about us as authors, or even inspiration on how to write a book. But please know, I'm going to tell you, this is a public service announcement. I'm not going to be giving away too much industry secrets now, because then you don't need me. So I'm just saying. I was just throwing that out there. I want you to need me. So don't ask too much questions as if we're having a consultation. If anyone has a book that they're writing and they want further information about the process and stuff, send me a message, Empress Royále Publishing. You can do it on Instagram. You can do it on Facebook. You can also send us information, questions at empressroyalepublishing@gmail.com or erpcustomerrelations@gmail.com, and we'll answer your questions. We'll set up the consultation. You'll meet members of the team and all of that stuff, but we will answer your questions, but we're not going to answer it here. I'm not giving out no industry secrets here. I'm just telling you. Okay, but if you, as I said, if you want us to come back, let us know whatever you want to talk about. We're so excited. Giselle already mentioned it. She has books coming out in 2022, God willing. And I also have a book coming up very soon, before the clock strikes 12 a.m. on January 1st, 2022. You're going to see a book from Thea Star Valerie. That's my name, in case anyone didn't know. But yes, I have a book coming out, God's willing. It's in the works. It's almost finished. As I said, I burned the midnight oil and I stay up all night. So I'm going to finish this book. And so that book is coming up. I'm still not going to tell you the name yet. I want you to just look out for the trailer. It is coming to you soon. And thank you, as I said, thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast. I don't know about
Me
you.
too.
I can't wait. As I said, thank you for those who joined us tonight. I'll give a little shout outs. Well, Burgess authors, that's Giselle. I see Amelia, Susan, Merlin. I don't know if half of these people out of Sola, Cozy Puppy.
Oh, I know
Nancy, thank
Adisola. Cozy Puppy, that's my cousin. That's my cousin,
Okay.
Raquel.
I don't want to miss it. Lasantha 29, Summer Edwards, Soul of Worship, Pastor Burgess, Jamal was here. Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody. I don't know, Cordelia.
That's a schoolmate of mine. Yeah. So nice that she joined in.
It's Diamond Life, Pastor Conrad Miller. So I just want to thank everyone who would have joined and those who see the rebroadcast. But as I said, this was our very first live from Instagram. We've done live on Facebook. So if you want to see our faces again, and next time we have other authors who may come in and stuff.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have one, and she couldn't make it. I was so sad, but everything is time. So we look forward to having her again, Anicia John Baptist. So next time you see her, and yeah, we just have a little powwow. I like it, but thank you so much for joining Royalty Circle Talk. I cannot wait to see some of you budding authors, new authors, future authors on here. I can't wait. It's exciting. So Empress Royále Publishing, where everything tells a story. Good night. Ciao.
Night.
Bye.